Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Lenders Gone Wild podcast. I'm your host, Matt Meyer, and I am blessed to be joined today by partner and friend, Nick Street. Nick,
Cheers,
welcome
man.
to the podcast, brother.
Man. Happy to be here.
Awesome.
Let's get
Nick's
wild.
visiting from Sacramento,
That's right.
hanging out with us here in Arizona, visiting the team, and spend some time here with us on the podcast. So I appreciate your time. Thanks for being here.
Right on, man. Yeah, excited to be here.
So
No beads or anything?
No
Get that
beads.
wild?
No
All
beads.
right,
No. You keep your
making
shirt
sure.
on for this
Okay.
podcast,
All right.
just so we're clear. Yeah.
All right.
But we'll get to the wild stuff in a little bit, but I want to just start off by letting you kind of introduce and tell you a little bit about your story, right? I've been in the mortgage business for a bit, experienced a variety of markets and
a
some
bit.
success. So
I got
tell us
some
about that.
miles on me, dude, for sure. So this is actually my 21st year
No
in
way.
residential mortgage. Wow. Came up like super call center environment, right?
Yeah.
The direct mail, super misleading.
You're the guy who's pretending to be their actual mortgage company and want to run them?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Your Wells Fargo mortgage is eligible. And, the kind of fancier it could get, the more you would call, or more calls we could get, I should say.
And you put it in the real fancy envelope, make it look
the pull
super
tabs,
special.
man. I remember when the pull tabs first came out, that was the rage.
You are approved.
Yep. We were literally in a basement, no windows. And we didn't know what time it was. People would be like, "That was a nice day today." And I was like, "Was it?" We were working 7 to 7s, just cranking, man. And small kind of group of all young guys, and had a lot of fun together. And then realized pretty quick that was not going to last.
Yeah.
So, fast forward through some tough times where we were figuring out what to do next, whether that
Did
was...
you kind of do that all the way through like the '08 crash, or
I did anything I could do to make a dollar in '08, '09, and in 2010, from like loan modifications to debt settlement to, I did attorney settlement, tax settlement sales. That talk about wild. I got some wild stories in some of those call centers, but figured it out, and then just kind of like got really intentional about relational, being the local community based, relationship based lender. And everyone's like, "Oh," and then it just took off, and I'm like, absolutely not.
Right.
Then it turned into a grind. Got a couple agents to like me, got a couple more agents to like me, built on that, got a database somehow, right? And then I was, from there.
There's where the gold is, right, in that database.
From there, it was building out the fulfillment team. So I spent a lot of time really on that. Like for me, everyone always wanted to be, at least in my market, right, like the cheapest or have the fanciest programs. And while, we had all that, like I just always leaned into the process. I just always said, man, I just want to have like the best, most enjoyable buyer and agent process.
Yeah.
How can I be that guy?
Yep.
And when they think about what they went through, all the horror stories they had before me, they could walk away with like, man, that guy was honest, and it was clean, it was simple. They didn't ask me for the same thing 4 times.
Right.
Like, so that was always just kind of what my initial focus was on, and where, honestly, what I kind of leveraged to grow my business was just, I'm a guy who's known for having a really, really good process.
It's gold.
Seems simple.
But it's not, right?
Not a lot are doing it.
The consistency piece of that is hard. The shiny object syndrome creeps in and jeopardizes that. Really, has a lot to do with, as the market shifts, a lot of times we'll see LOs that, right, they pivot and their business just kind of does this, right? So how long have you been doing the, right, high relationship referral based and really
probably
focused?
I would say about 2013 is when I got like real serious about it. So, more or less dozen years or so.
And that's right. And that's, I came up and started in 2014 in a net branch model where we were handling our own fulfillment. And it took me, right, 11 years to kind of get all the way back to where we kind of are running that now. which has been a lot of fun and great to figure out and do.
Yeah,
with you.
I mean, I tell you that like the leg up I had is I worked in a subprime environment with Andrea Farmer, who you know now,
Trey.
like my ops manager. Met her then, absolutely hated her. Like thought, oh my God.
Tell me about that.
Who could ever work with her? She's crazy. Like, and then it was like 2012, I was getting back into it. I wasn't killing it yet at all. And a mutual friend of ours was like, hey man, you should hit up Andrea. She's, I was needing help. Our business was growing. I was like, I don't think she's the fit of what I'm looking for. And he goes, oh man, she's changed. She's calmed down. Like she's cool now. Like,
yeah.
And I was like, well, I know she's good.
Yeah.
But I was like, can I take her? And yeah, so that was like, I always like, what's the key to my success? I'm like, man, I had a lot of the really good partnerships, and that was really one of them.
I mean, surrounding yourself with good people, right, is key, right? And that's like, there's been a lot of movement in our business towards the broker side of the business, and there's a lot of people who do really well there, and they serve clients at a high level, and that's great. Just always felt like a harder path to do with a large group, with a team, right? You don't have your own fulfillment. You don't have your own, control of the process, right? So if you're going to try to control the experience and your separation right? Because otherwise, if you're just selling rate, right? I mean, the guy online or the guy in Rocket's call center is gonna beat you a lot of days.
Well, bingo,
that's all
dude.
that you got.
That's kind of what I said. I built my business on.
Yeah.
I'm the experienced guy, so I always thought about that.
Yep.
Like, am I gonna give up what I do best and go to that wholesale side? No, that's a whole other topic. I'm not the anti-wholesale guy.
No.
But I just think people are blind to the reality of what they pin like the worst retail against the best wholesale and say, look how much better wholesale is. I'm like, not all wholesale is good.
Right.
Not all retail is bad.
Well, and right, we've been through banks, right? Some together, some separately, where the cost of producing that mortgage is higher at a bank, right? And so that's where I think this journey to Canopy has led us to what is the lowest cost to produce a mortgage, which really shrinks that wholesale gap for us while continuing
People
to
need to do their homework on cost.
Yeah.
Because if you really don't know, you really don't know.
Right.
So just take, for example, UWM. They do a lot of great things.
Yeah, they're number one for a reason,
They're
right?
a publicly traded company.
They're good.
Look at what their gain per transaction is. It's not as, you're not paying for nothing. Free credit reports.
I mean,
Are they
listen,
really
you're
free?
in Arizona now, so here's to make it real personal for all of us Suns fans, right? Like, right? There's enough money in the loans for Ishbia to pay Durant to lose games,
and to drop everything to $2, right?
Right,
$2 hot dogs and everything else.
So there's definitely money in there. It's just a matter of, are you paying the bank or are you paying the wholesaler, right? And we all end up selling our money to the same places.
Yeah, I just think again, people cut it down to like, well, that's cheaper, so that's what I'm going to do, and it's like, no, it's not.
Correct.
There's no absolutes in this. Understand what you're getting.
There's a level at which you get what you pay for too, right?
Absolutely.
Right? Like,
absolutely.
There's a reason that like sometimes the experience or the end product and the deliverables on that, right, are worth the small premiums.
But don't you think like, so where do you come off on this? Like, is it a duty to inform the mass of LOs like of that difference? When they're like, no, I'm working at said broker shop because that's the only way I can get my client the lowest price.
I have two thoughts on that. One is the culture I've built, right? Like I have some people who've been with me a long time too, right? Like Allie's the reason that I've had the success I've had. She's been with me over 8 years, right? And like she's my right hand and been through a lot of ups and downs, right? Like the team matters, but the team matters because they create the experience, right? I have agents. I literally had an agent one time a couple years ago tell me, he's like, I don't know what you pay her, but you need to give her whatever she asks for. So she knows that too.
Yeah.
She knows that too, right? She knows that that's her value in our process to our consumers and to our agent partners. So to your question though, right? Like that LO that just wants to sell rate is probably not the right culture fit for what I've built my business around, number one. So I'm not trying to recruit everybody, and I don't want every LO to just come like.
Sure.
So I'm also,
even if not recruiting them though, like just to educate them.
And sometimes I want to, but I also realize like what I spend my time on creates that, right? Like if they don't see it and they're not pulled to that, one of the things that Keith at Space told me a long time ago when we started doing business together is like, I'm looking for yeses. So if they're open, I'm here to educate. If they want to have a debate, that's not right. I'm not trying to turn those into yeses. Mentality. I'm just not trying to turn those. I don't have time.
Just chase yeses.
I don't have time to turn those into yeses.
Yeah.
You want to have an honest conversation. You want to like work that out. All day long, we'll educate and we'll open the books and we'll be transparent.
Because HB is doing a good job of training, of like feeding the souls of this is the lowest place. And they believe him.
Yeah,
so.
And he can make threes in a suit. So like that's right. That's sweet.
I don't think he was a good shooter, man. He seemed like that
good enough to go to Michigan State.
Heady point guard type, but I don't think he was a shooter.
Michigan State was no joke, especially back then, right? There's still no joke.
He didn't play, dude.
It doesn't matter. Come on, bro. Come on. You can't hate on that guy. Right?
No, not as a businessman. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
As an NBA owner, he's got some work to do.
Well, I mean, that's,
He's got some work to do.
Yeah.
Coming from a Sacramento Kings fan who might have the worst ownership in the NBA. So, I can recognize a bad owner when I see one. We've had a lot of them.
Yeah. I mean, right. We can't all be Mark Cuban, right?
Well, and then he sold. And then they traded Luka right after he sold. I don't know. And then they got the number one pick. Yeah.
So that journey, right? Like, I think one of the keys I hear from you is identifying that thing that was really important, because there's so much you can do in this business, right? You can be in the call center, you can work inside of a JV, you can be an LOA on a team, you can work in the ops and fulfillment side of this industry. Like knowing kind of like what your role is in identifying that and then consistently executing that is, I think, something no matter where you work or what you do in this business, people need to find, right? They need to find like what makes them special
fulfilled,
and what makes them feel fulfilled and have purpose and all of those great, right? Like,
I mean, mine comes from a lot of places. One is like, I am an advocate for home ownership, like through and through. So I grew up or a single mom, very humbly. So my mom didn't buy a house till I was 15 years old. And selfishly at the time, I hated it. We moved to a different area. I was away from my friends. It was more inconvenient for me, smaller house. Like we just grew up renting and, again, I didn't know the difference. My mom bought a foreclosed home for like $94,000, right? This is in, early mid 90s. So I got to like later grow up, mature, and realize how that literally changed the trajectory of her life after that.
Wow.
Right? Like allowed her to have stability.
Yep.
Allowed her to gain a lot of equity. Right? And so as a young man, I bought my first house before I turned 23.
Wow.
So I was just like, and it changed the trajectory of my life.
Yep.
So like knowing what I know about home ownership, that's an extreme passion for me. So that's where my, kind of initial drive comes from, is wanting to educate the borrower, the consumer, the realtor, all of these people about my story and how much I value the opportunity to own real estate.
Yep.
The second part of it is like, what role did I want to play? Dude, I'm a sales guy through and through. Like that's what I do best, connect with people, build trust. I was never going to be qualified enough to manage the back end, right? Like I'm an ADD guy. Like I'm just never going to, I know my lending guidelines. It's probably funny because a lot of people go like, dude, you know your stuff through and through. And I do, but dude, I rely on my, good people and have a lot of trust that's built in. I take good care of them so they make me look great.
Yep. Exactly.
Like that's kind of been the secret sauce there. So yeah, what role did I want to play? I wanted to play the guy that could be out front and again, just like advocate for why you need to buy a house.
Right.
And then just kind of manage somebody's finances, debts. Like I do enjoy that component because
that like counselor role.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And to encourage them to think differently sometimes.
Got it.
Right? Like think about this in this other way.
Sure.
And I think maybe it just comes from a place of being super self-taught, like being really, again, come from humble beginnings, come from a space that, it's not like I was a finance major and learned all these things through any other way than doing it, failing sometimes, succeeding sometimes. So, I tell my story, right? People go like, I want to invest in real estate. Cool. What's your plan to do that?
Right.
Well, here's what I did, right? I bought this home at this age, lived in it, bought another primary, retained, bought another primary, retained. People are like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm like, yep, that's what I did. Not saying that's what you should do, but.
Well, especially you start young, right? Then it's marriage, it's kids, right? Like the normal life progressions of events that happen as adults sometimes force that next step. But if you can retain that property that's income generating, I'll tell you personally, I did that and then I sold it. And I hate that I sold it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
one of my biggest regrets is selling that first ever house that I bought.
Okay.
But,
yeah. So,
but I retained it at first, but it's so the story is it's in an area that's not the best area.
Yeah. Sometimes
so that was my first house.
First house is usually
right?
art.
It was I got it for $160,000.
Okay.
And not the best area, served me well, retained it as a rental. And just had issues, man. At a point where my kids were really little, it became hard to maintain it as a rental.
Yeah.
It was like every renter I had, it was getting broken into, stuff stolen. It was like, they keep breaking in to steal my weed. I go, stop growing weed. I don't know what to tell you, right? I had cars stolen, all this stuff.
I'm pretty sure the weed's not covered on the renter's policy.
I was just like, dude, I can't spend every weekend, dealing with this.
Yeah.
So I made a decision then, and then the market exploded,
right.
And that became, again, one of like the hottest areas. And I said, all right, not doing that again.
Yeah. I fell prey to not being mature enough to understand that. I thought the value had like doubled since I bought it, right? And I was like, there's no chance it's ever going to be worth more than this.
Sure.
And then I was, that was
sell at the peak.
That was $150,000 ago.
Sell at the peak.
Right? So it wasn't the peak. I just thought it was. Yeah. So I tell you, in doing this job, right, and the passion you have for home ownership and stability and what that creates for families, there really is very, very few things, if anything, over the long haul that is as wealth generating as real estate. And I think, right, you get to see behind the scenes. We could do that all the time. We get to, right, live in that 40, 50 times a month with clients that we serve together. But, right, for these consumers,
and it's like everyone can do it, right? I think you use a term wealth, and some people think like, I'm not wealthy. And I'm like, you can own a home and build wealth. Like real wealth. Here's the other thing. You got to live somewhere anyways.
Yeah.
Like, don't you want to have some housing stability, plant some roots, give your family, your kids some memories, something tangible while building wealth at the same time, while benefiting on your income taxes. Well, I could go on and on and on.
Right.
And
well,
on.
and right, with the exception of 2008 recession, like, right, real estate goes up during recessions, right? But if all of your money's in stocks and, right, I mean,
for sure,
all my crypto friends out there are like, it's the best thing ever. Well, there are also months where you're like, there were days where it's like, it's the worst thing ever, right? Like the volatility is very, very different typically in real estate. And so I think for a lot of people that are looking for either diversifying or understanding the value of that, it's really important. Like I always tell people, like, you're paying 100% interest. I don't want a 7% interest rate. Well, again, your landlord's going to increase rent when they feel like it. You're going to have to move frequently, right? So creating that stability, figuring out a way to create a budget, a plan. And it may not be affordable for you today. I'm not saying that it is. But if it is, you should own. And if it isn't, then you should work on a plan to get there. And that's just the way that I kind of try to, again, counsel people through that, because more than the technicians with the guidelines and more than even just the sales and the relationship, I think the heartbeat of what we do is like that counselor role, right? Like that people just don't know. And I'll tell you from my experience, right? We do a lot of first-time home buyers, especially here in Arizona. It's so rewarding to feel like you might be the first person ever that advocated for and believed that that person could actually do it, right? And it's crazy to me how many people show up, right? In my text thread or my email inbox, right? Like, and their story is like, no one ever gave me a shot. No one ever taught me yes. The last 3 guys I applied with just said no. There was no plan. There was no hand-holding. There was no guidance. It was just transactional. And I think if that's got people turned off, right, there is
we have
hope.
to lean into that, though, don't we? Like,
I think so. I mean, it's our job.
Think about it, though. Like, AI's trying to replace the loan officer.
I beat AI last week, by the way.
They're trying, dude.
Awesome.
They're trying. Zillow doesn't like loan officers. Rocket doesn't like loan officers.
Yeah.
We had lower purchase a portal this week. They don't like loan officers.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
They think you can be replaced by technology.
Sure.
That's legitimately. Just apply online. We'll tell you what your loan terms are.
Yeah.
You'll sign those and we'll move on. So, like, if you are a loan officer, don't just do that minimum stuff, because you are replaceable if that's your mentality.
Well, back to the guy who I got to be at the broker shop because of rate.
Right.
If that's all that you offer, you're
going to get replaced pretty soon.
You're the first one to be replaced.
Absolutely.
Right? If you're in that basement that you started in, right?
Absolutely.
Just handling the inbound calls from the mailers that are a little bit misleading.
No, they're a lot misleading. A lot. I'm not in that business anymore.
Right. But we all know them, right? We get the thing that, like,
for sure,
urgent, answer now, right?
For
That's not really legitimate.
Last chance,
right? So I guess those are the guys. Those are the guys where, like, when they talk about AI replacing people, that's where it
legitimate.
happens. That happens.
That's valid.
Is the AI ever going to care about the homeowner that otherwise people said no to?
Absolutely. AI is just going to say no, right? To your point, they're not going to say, here's the plan so that you can get a yes in 4 or 5 months, right? They're not going to really analyze what somebody's actual goals are. It's just, okay, you want this price at this payment, done. And that's where, again, I just think if you're a loan officer today, you have to be leaning in to those components more than just, I need to be where I can offer the lowest rates. Okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like, to some extent, you have to be competitive in rate. And like, that's us.
Yeah.
We believe that.
Right.
Like, we want to offer the lowest possible rate that we can. But we want to do that while giving someone custom, elite level service at the same time.
Correct. Yeah. It has to be more than the product, right? If you're just selling the product, then anybody can do that, and the replacement is inevitable. So tell me this. What's one of the hardest things that you've been through in your career, right? Like,
man, I mean, there are no easy years in mortgage. Like, it is always something, right?
It's fair.
It's like, this is happening, that's happening.
Right. I mean, even from 2020 to 2023, it went from like, I'm so busy, but I'm making so much money to I'm not that busy and making no money.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
dude,
switches so fast.
We were a time in 2020 when like we were like, how are we going to get all this volume through without breaking the system?
Correct.
And I'm up at night figuring out how to do that, and went from that to like, how do I shrink my staff down low enough that I can still be competitive and sustain and survive? Like in a matter of a blink. So, I mean, you mentioned hardest. I would point to like a few that obviously was hard. I talk about like the best thing I've ever done is pick the right partnerships. The worst thing I've ever done is pick the wrong partnerships. Like it works both ways, right? The right person will lift you up and they will be such an asset and a light in your life. And the wrong one will be the exact opposite of that. They will tear you down. They will be a cloud. They will be a dark, a darkness in your life. And unfortunately, I've learned the hard way, right? And I am someone who wants to believe, in the best version of someone a lot. Like, I'm like, yeah, I realize you've had these challenges, but you also have these strengths. And if you're around me, you'll have nothing but, I'm going to accentuate your strengths. And I'll look past, right? And I'm maturing, right? I'm growing.
Yeah. We got to learn those sometimes the hard way. Like
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And so some of the harder things I've been through are being at companies and having partners that, aren't holding their end of the agreement, take money from you. Those type of things are hard because, there's like that level of just distrust and like that feeling of being violated and being let down. That's hard. It's like, it's a big emotional component that goes into that. So I would say like those are the hardest.
I saw an agent post the other day and she's, like, and had somebody tell her it's not personal, it's just business. She's like, no, but it is personal. It is, right?
You can't be in any relationship-based business and not be personal, right? It's always personal.
Yes. There's no other way to slice it. And you can try to sugarcoat it or excuse it or dismiss it or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's personal. Right, because it's us.
If you build your business based on personal relationships, then you can't burn one and say nothing personal. Right? Like I don't really think that's possible.
Right. Yeah, and that's why, right? Like in the time I've known you and what I try to as lead our team through is like there's no bridge that ever needs to be burnt. Right?
Absolutely.
Ever. It's not necessary. Right. If you have that limited of a mindset, then unfortunately, right, that's just.
Yeah, I definitely have made a concerted effort to keep playing the long game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I got to keep playing the long game. In the long run, this will work out.
Yeah.
And so you say that like there's big agent in SAC, one of the top guys. And I don't do a lot of business with him. Periodically, we did a deal together. I go, hey, man, let me take you to lunch. I just, want to pick your brain. Super successful guy. He goes, hey, you know what? I'm going to tell you this. He's talking to me, and he says, you've been in this market a long time. He goes, I've never heard anything bad about you.
Wow.
He said, that's not a common thing with lenders.
No.
Right? He goes, I've never heard a bad thing about
Especially when we're the first ones to get blamed.
Right. And I always say that about
we're the
lenders.
fall guys in this.
I know going in, right, that anything wrong is the lender's fault. Everything goes well. That's just your job, dude.
Yep.
So I tell LOs out all the time. I'm like, if you're looking for brownie points, for kudos,
there's no kudos.
Wrong spot.
Yep.
Don't be the lender.
No.
Because if it closes on time, early, whatever, that's what every lender is supposed to do.
Yep.
But if anything goes wrong at any time, it's how could you let this happen? Right. So that led me to believe, like, that was just one of the, I don't know why that resonated with me, but I was like, okay, right? Like, I've been playing the long game.
Exactly.
And sometimes when you play the long game, you don't know when you're winning. Like, it's a game that doesn't have a lot of tangible results all the time.
It's like parenting toddlers, right? Like,
absolutely.
The long game.
You
right?
hope you're doing a good job, but you never
you'll
know.
You'll find out in a decade or two, right?
You never know.
Yeah.
So I took away from that and I was like, man, Rich, thank you so much for saying that. Like, it resonated with me where I was like, all right, I'm doing something right.
I love it.
People recognize that
exactly
when you just do right by people, care about, how you treat people, how others' experiences with you go, you will reap the rewards of that at some point.
Really cool. What you talk about the long game? What's the like arrival, if that's even right? I think that's probably a fallacy for most right, in most businesses. But like, what's the thing you're striving for, or the W at the end of that?
Yeah, I think
journey?
next for me, and this is one thing I look to you a lot about is becoming a better leader, and like learning how to lead other loan officers, just lead other people. And I've been somebody that's been a really high level individual producer for a lot of my career. And I just always thought, well, people will see that.
Yep.
They'll accept it. They'll follow me. And that's not always the case.
No.
Right? Now, that said, I want to be a leader that's known for leading by example.
Yep.
Right? I hate the guys, the executives at mortgage companies who are back in my day. And it's like, brother, like, I've been through a lot more than you. You don't know.
Clinton's first term, right?
Yeah.
When I did
back when you were
loans.
handing out business cards, right, in front of the store, or showing up at the agents' meetings. It's like, that's not how business works now.
Yeah.
So I thought of myself in that way, right? Like, I'll be the leader that can lead by example. But there's just so many levels and layers to leadership. And that's one thing that I want to challenge myself to grow within. Again, I get to learn alongside you, and I do think you're someone who I admire as a leader.
Thanks, man.
So that's super exciting for me, right? To get to, kind of have more or less a shared experience in this next journey.
Well, it's like you talked about, right? It's who you surround yourself with, right? And just like Dre on the production side, right? Like, we have each other, right? Because to go be able to replicate your example is going to take me another decade, right? So we get to leverage your learning by example. We get to leverage some of the unique gifts and skills that we each bring to the table and make everybody around us better without having to each master it in silos, right? And I think that collaboration is what's really exciting about growing in business. What does that end look like?
Yeah,
right?
I don't
That's
know.
The journey.
Maybe I've just always been a guy that is extremely focused on the process.
Yeah.
That the end just never seems in sight. Maybe the end for me is like, I always say this too. I said, like, to go on vacation and not feel like I'm obligated to work a good portion of the time. I won't even say majority, but I always say, I'm like, to be at that point, you either got to be really unimportant or so successful, right? That you've achieved that level of like everything is built, or you have enough people to where your inherent input isn't like immediately needed.
Yeah, like the fun way of saying that, right, is like I always try to follow the mantra, like the more valuable I am to my business, the less valuable my business is. Right? Because that means that I can't disconnect for a day or two or a week and things run, right? So every time like I have, teammates that are kind of coming up and rising to new occasions in their career, right? Like I'm going to go unplug for an extra 2 days this weekend and see what happens, right? Like, it's kind of that fun test where it's like, I can literally turn it off. I'm still watching probably more than they know, but the auto office is on, right? Like, try to be a little more present with the family. But really, it's like watching them fill that vacuum, right? And that's a really fun, as you realize that, and as that begins to actually happen, it creates a new freedom that's actually kind of weird to deal with at first.
And yeah, and I chase that,
Yeah.
right? I chase the level of getting the business to the level that it can almost run without me, like at some point.
But it's weird, right? Because then you're like,
then what do I do?
what's my value?
And I am somebody
that's a hard thing.
who wants to live a useful life,
Yeah.
right? Like
what's your contribution, right? If
and I have to be, yes, I have to be like involved and important, and that's that's just definitely something that's on my mind.
Yeah.
Right. And I've again grinded through mortgage apps late at night, early in the morning, weekends, stepped out, it is funny today, airplane lands, I'm on a conference call.
Yeah. The whole drive here.
Literally walking out of the airplane, plugged in because it started 4 minutes after we had the wheels down. And that environment fuels me.
Yeah.
Literally, if I woke up and my calendar was empty, I don't know what I would do. But at the same time, like, I love the challenge of how do I, keep getting to a point where we can get this thing big enough, empower more people, get more people in a position that, again, they don't need me because I've taught them so well.
Yeah. Well, I'll remember, I think I started working with Keith and the team here at Space in like 2018. And one of their statements in one of the meetings that I remember, the very first times that I met that whole team, it said, we aim to be a real estate team that develops people so well that they don't need us, but treat them so well that they stay. I was like, yeah, that's it. And I think that's that's the journey. That's what we're on our way to. And that's what we're building.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, and I feel empowered to want people to want that.
Yep, exactly.
Right? Now that said, I feel like a lot of the loan officers, I got some use in me.
Yeah.
Today, anyways.
Yeah.
But hopefully they understand, that some of my maybe tough love at times comes from a place of wanting that for them.
Yeah, well, that's part of leadership, right? Like that's what we get paid for. We get paid to make them better, not to make them more comfortable. And a lot of times those two things are not, there's no overlap in that Venn diagram a lot of times.
Very true.
So that's an important, right? Like, it's just the burden that you carry, right? I tell my wife all the time, like, leadership's really lonely.
Dude, yes.
Really lonely.
That's a good way to explain it.
Yeah. So you just...
Well, if we wanted to, all be friends, we'd sell ice cream, right? Like,
maybe, yeah.
That's not. Yeah. We're not in the business to have everyone like you all the time.
Yeah,
I've accepted that a long time ago.
Yeah, right. And the thing that's the best thing you can do for someone, right, is a lot of times the thing that makes them most uncomfortable, and they may not like you for a minute, right? They may not catch it until.
Well, I also